is your second call for 600-meter declarations. Second call, 600. First call, 200 meters. Athletes in the 200, please declare at this time.
And we're back to the infield at the track and tennis center. Phil Grove and Carson Gumboro at this year's Sharon Colyear-Danville season opener, and they paid tribute to one of the all-time greats at Boston University just a couple minutes ago. The great things that she did in her career, unfortunately passed early in life. A banner hanging here in the on the throws cage in this fine facility setting for so many world and American records. And up next on the infield, Carson, is the women's 60-meter hurdles. Monique Morgan from Shore Athletic Club back in 2015, 8.21 seconds. That is the facility record.
And this is an interesting event, Phil, because we were initially supposed to have a prelims final format, but instead it is an all one-and-done effort. So not as much room for error. So all 9 of these ladies have to give it their absolute all. There's one player to watch. It's Alexia Austin from Northern Colorado. She is the only one with an official sub-9 time to her name, and that's an 8:41. Look out for the sophomore from UNC in lane number 5.
And you're right, Carson, no opportunity to work out the kinks in your form other than an extended warm-up period, and also maybe if they ran the 60 dash, just get that body really in a tempo. But again, Ms. Austin at 8:41, the seed time. She's right in the middle of the track. She is headed right toward us, as are the other 8 finalists, and a good start. Clean at 33-inch hurdles, 5 of them. It is Austin going wire to wire. Smooth and easy. Nobody hit a barrier. And she wins this one by a country mile. 8:58 for Alexia Austin from Northern Colorado. So they'll make an adjustment, move the hurdle placement and height just a little bit. We'll be back with the men's 60 highs in just a moment on FloTrack. And we're back, live coverage at the track and tennis center, Boston University, joined by Ella Jackson, who is one of our pace setters in the women's mile. Ella, good morning. I just think it's still morning. Yes, it is. Thanks for coming up.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I've talked to rabbits or pace setters before just about their role and how important it is, especially here at Boston University. I know they put a major focus on getting these athletes to run as fast as possible. Mentally or physically, which is more difficult to be a rabbit?
I would say it's the mental aspect. Obviously, like, there's an expectation to hit a certain time when you're a pacer, but overall I feel like when you decide to be a pacer, you're confident in your ability to keep up with a certain pace, so it's just kind of battling that mental side. But yeah, overall, I mean, I love getting out there with the girls and helping them out to achieve their goals, so yeah, it's awesome.
Speaking of goals, tell us a little bit about your goals, where you are currently, who you're running for, and what the season is going to bring.
Yeah, so I recently just stepped away from running in the NCAA. I'm kind of competing on my own with a few of my other friends who run in Boston. I'm obviously really close with a few of the girls that are pacing here. Obviously, Kate Mitchell, who runs for New Balance. No huge plans, just looking at competing this indoor season a little bit. And then I'm from Canada, so going home and racing back there.
I'm curious, do you pace a lot outdoors too?
I do a little bit, so I mostly compete back home in Canada. But I'll pace probably outdoor season, a little more this indoor season, but hoping to get out a few races.
Do you feel that with the shorter indoor track that it's easier to nail down a more specific pace than it is outdoors where there's more ways you can break up a lap?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. I feel like it's a lot easier to kind of manage hitting those times when you're running on a shorter track.
All right, we are set for the men's 60-meter high hurdle final. There is the field. We'll see them in lanes. Just looks like 2 through 8. I got a scratch on the outside. 5 hurdles, 42-inch barriers. They bump it up 3 inches from the high school side. And a clean start. And our friends from Northern Colorado, can we see them bringing their line? No, it's in the middle of the track. It is from MIT. The winner in under 8 seconds. 7:82 unofficially is 8:25 actually on the board. And there is the winner from MIT, Walter Truitt. Wow, a nice run, D3 again. Ella, I know the opportunity of a meet like this or any outdoor meet, you get the D1, D2, D3 athletes. A lot of times the D3 athletes aren't going to be pushovers.
Yeah, it's a great range of athletes from all around, so it's awesome.
All right, they will clear the infield. Ella, tell me a little bit about the running atmosphere in Boston. On the drive-in this morning from the airport, everybody seemingly was out there along the river putting in a run.
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, if you're a runner in Boston, there's a lot of people to train with. It's a huge running city, whether you're looking at long distances or track, so it's awesome.
Did you ever run a 60-meter dash?
Oh, never. No.
Maybe
60 is not for me.
60-meter striders, maybe.
Yeah, maybe some striders. No 60.
All right, what are your current PRs? I know you'll know that.
800 is 2:10 right now, and then that's really all I focus on. 1,500 in miles a little long for me. That's why I'm pacing it.
Tell me a little bit about your training regimen right now. How many miles a week or minutes you're out there putting in, and how intense those workouts are during the winter.
Yeah, I'm looking at pretty much 2 days on the track a week, 1 tempo, so 3 workouts, and I'm looking at like 45 to 50 miles. Nothing crazy. I'm a little bit of a shorter distance runner, not into the huge miles.
Are there any things about Division I or major college athletes that the layman doesn't know about? The secret is like, wow, running on the D1 level, running in all these major invitationals, big cities, big college campuses. That's just something that most people don't know or understand.
I think it's really just the pressure of having to compete in D1. Obviously, it's a big pressure to have on your back to exceed your coach's expectations, but overall, I mean, it's great to get out there with the girls.
And I know obviously scoring at the conference level is huge, both for the athletes and the coaches.
Yes, it is huge.
Ella Jackson with us today. Talk a little bit about her current career after she finished her collegiate career and doing some pacing duties in the women's mile. And that heat number 3, great women's miles today, under 440 number of athletes. That is the benchmark for the women milers. And we're coming up. This is the 60-meter dash final for women. You see the field, and in the middle of the track, the ladies from Northern Colorado. They're in lanes 2 and 5. Precious Zakor. And a good start.
Austin, yeah.
In the middle of the track, it is Zakor, but on the outside in 2. It is Zakor in lane 5. Lisa Ray in 6 gave her a push. The winning time 7:53. Ray goes 7:58. The Grizzlies coming out here to Boston and doing some damage as the Ray sisters go 2nd and 3rd. Next opportunity for meet for you. Next meet opportunity for you, Ella.
I think I'm just going to be looking at some races in January. Maybe start with a few more pacing duties and then get in some racing near the end of indoor.
Again, Ella Jackson joining us as we get an update of Lisa Ray, the top finisher now in a high schooler, as we'll see some high schoolers along with age groupers competing here at Boston University. The men's 60 dash final. Ella, again, thanks for your time. Enjoyed seeing the pacing duties and you just setting the field up for success. Best of luck in the winter.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And again, our thanks, Ella Jackson, but Carson, just with some information on some of those top finishers in that women's 60 dash.
We saw the Ray sisters go 2 and 3. We're going to see them again in the 200, but high schoolers from West Warwick, Rhode Island announced their commitment yesterday to the University of Georgia. So the future Bulldogs bringing it in their season opener. Men's time next.
The men's 60 dash, there is the field. We are full in lanes 1 through 9.
Look out for the defending champion, Jerome Campbell, in 5.
Jerome Campbell from Northern Colorado. He has been here before. He knows this track. In the only false start that we had today, the athlete from UNB Reds tried to plead his case about the starting blocks, and I see Jerome seemed to be motioning to something potentially amiss with the blocks, but all 9 are back and ready to go. The field: Clement, Baskin, Samuels, Burke, Campbell, Bostic, Garcia, Hartle, and Whitmore. Lanes 3, 5, and 7 are occupied by UNC athletes, Northern Colorado that is. And in 1, 8, and 9, they run for MIT.
Speed or smarts? Take your pick.
And it's a good start, but it looks like Campbell is going to have to catch the field. Here he comes. And he, I think, edged out Bostic from the Air Force Academy. The folks running at altitude normally coming down to sea level, and it's by 1/100th of a second. Jerome Campbell, 679, Bostic, 680.
And
wow, what a race.
Is the 4th win that we have seen at the Sharon Colyear-Danville Invitational by Jerome Campbell. He won the 60-meter hurdles the past 2 years. Forwent it this year. Swept the 60-meter races last year and now collects his 4th win at the opener. And it's 2nd in a row in the 60 flat. We'll look out for him and Bostic in a rematch in the 200 meters. The top 2 seeds in that event as well. But the first round goes to Jerome Campbell, who's got a personal best of 6:66. Didn't quite get that today, but again, season opener, shaking off the rust. Got a couple 6.7s under his belt to start his junior campaign.
All right, it is time for the women's 800 meters, and we have some big names out there, big name programs, and actually looks like sharing a lane. We have Tessa Buswell and Sophia Gorriaron. Buswell runs for BYU, Gorriaron for Harvard. She was an incredible high school performer, and now in her sophomore season at Harvard. And she has spent plenty of time on this oval. Her brother ran for Boston University and had the opportunity to talk with her a number of times. I see her dad on the infield. Did a lot of the coaching of her in her high school career. Sophia Gorriaron, she's just over a 2-flat 800 runner, Carson.
Gorriaron was in this race last year, but only for 600 meters. She was doing the pacing for the girl who you see with hip number 9, Megan Hunter of BYU. Actually, let's check that. Megan Hunter is in 6.
Buswell is 9, yep.
Again, Sophia Gorriaron was doing the pacing last year for Megan Hunter, who ended up taking home the win. But these two have both gone sub 2:01. And both have the capability of going sub 2 by season's end. Sophia Gorriaron, she did an impressive amount of cross-country racing, even raced at NCAA cross-country nationals, so she's been in a bit more of a strength phase in her training, but we've always known she's had that raw speed, that 400, 800 speed. I mean, it's no question why she's a 2-flat runner. It's no question why she's appeared at multiple U.S. national championships, USATF under 20 championship most recently, taking the win there. Heptagonal indoor champion last year over 800 with Harvard as just a freshman. She is there on the inside of lane 5, flanked by Tessa Buswell, one of 3 BYU Cougars on schedule in this heat.
And looks like our pace setter once again out on the oval, Amy Piccolo. We heard her and saw her earlier in the miles. She is in lane 3. They will run in lanes until they break for the cones. After 150 meters, Goryear-Ron trying to stretch things out a little bit in lane 5. The pace scheduled to be 57 seconds, and Goryear-Ron isn't going to wait for our rabbit, Piccolo. It is going to be the two of them hitting the cone side by side. Piccolo in the lead. They go through 228 seconds, right on pace. Goryear-Ron in second, Hunter in the number 3 spot, and then back to Emma Desjardins from Canada in 4th.
Emma Desjardins won the 1,000 meters here last year at the opener. But look at Megan Hunter. She's making a move to try and keep close contact with Sophia Goryear-Ron. She knows that she can use her kick like she did last year to win, to help her in the long run.
So Piccolo definitely pushing the issue up front. 57 seconds scheduled to be the opening 400 time. A little behind that. Goryear-Ron comes through in 59. Piccolo still on the oval. It is Goryear-Ron in second. Hunter in third. Alex Gibby, her head coach, on the inside of the first turn,
And Hunter,
giving his star instructions.
Hunter looks patient but confident. She's got her eyes on Sophia Goryear-Ron. She's not making her move just yet. She's still got just over a lap to do so. The chase group looks like they've got a little bit too much work to do. It's going to come down to the 2 flat girls, Sophia Goryear-Ron and Megan Hunter.
131, Goryear-Ron in the lead, Hunter in second. Just 200 meters to go. There's a big gap between those two in Desjardins and then 3 others in 3, 4, 5, and 6. Goryear-Ron still in front. Could she go wire to wire? Here comes Hunter digging hard. 100 meters to go. Hunter takes the lead going into the turn, and she's going to close the door on Sophia Goryear-Ron. Can she hold it to the line? Megan Hunter showing the big speed in the final 100 meters. Megan Hunter is going to go 2:01 point. With Goryear-Ron in second, Megan Hunter official time 2:02:03. What a race.
What a confident move by Megan Hunter in the final 100 meters. She saw that rail, pinpointed it, and got to it first. Sophia Goryear-Ron, she held her form very nicely, but there was nothing she could do about that move by Hunter.
And the gold rush continues for BYU. After the success at the NCAA Cross Country Championships, they pick up a big win here at Boston University in the women's 800 with Megan Hunter, 2:02:03.
Great season opener, great race, as we expected. And we got another one coming in heat 2.
And our second of 4 heats on the oval, and these athletes, as far as we're told, are in it to win it, going the full 4 laps, and a field of 8, and it looks like we have 7 on the oval. And in lane number 2, check that, yes it is, wearing number 2, that is Ellie Fry from Dallas Baptist. Another one of the BYU runners, Elise Jessen.
That was a
from
nice
Utah.
smooth cut in there to get to the front by Jessen. She hasn't completely broken away from the field. She just wanted to get into the front so she could minimize her distance. You see she's forced the runner from DBU onto the outside.
UNB Red, Shelby McIsaac in the number 2 spot currently, as they make their second trip around the far end of this facility, coming up to the 400 mark.
And Jillian Brown of Oregon State with hip number 4 in the number 4 spot at the moment.
Jessen 64 seconds through 400 meters with McIsaac in second. A little bit of a gap there between first and second. Jillian Brown from Oregon State in third.
And she's now moving up onto the shoulder of McIsaac into second. Looking to hold off Ellie Fry, who's followed her past McIsaac. So the both of them have worked together. We're going to see a lot of position changes here as Fry mounts up for yet another move. She's running on the outside, though, so could it come back to bite her? 1 lap to go.
It is tied with 200 meters remaining. 1:36 for the field. 4 of those 7 runners are in contention. The big push now, Shelby McIsaac from UNB Reds. She goes from 3rd to 1st. Can she get to the rail? Fighting. Big arms, big eyes. She's searching for that win.
If she
Shelby
told us
McIsaac.
anything with the past lap, that she was not fazed by the moves that were made on her. She has got the lead off the turn.
So is Ellie Fry in 2nd? Will they be able to catch? Here comes Jillian Brown from Oregon State, and she is going to be the winner.
She got it.
Jillian Brown, 2:10.09 with the win. McIsaac at 2:10.13.
Wow, a lot of moves made there in the last 400 meters of that race.
You never give up on this track. The opportunity to get that little bit of a bump coming off the last turn out of the banking, and there's the young lady who wins, Jillian Brown.
And she was in 4th heading into the final half of the race, so she was the one who really had to take control. And even when she lost control, she got it back. She stayed perseverant.
All right, heat number 3 for the ladies in the 800 meters. There is the field. Couple of teammates from Lee, Tennessee, that Division II running power. And one of those is Stella Clemens. We saw her earlier and not too long ago in the miles. So coming back on very short rest. We're scheduled to have 8 there. Do we have? Yep, we have a full field of 8. So Clemens is out there.
She's got hip number 2 this time. She had hip 3 in the mile, so we'll see if she can shake away that superstition. She's got her teammates, though, with her. Should be a good race.
So Clemens holding back right now in the number 6 spot of this 8-runner field. And we'll see if she can work her way up. Very tightly bunched, a lot of congestion. I mentioned earlier, indoor track is a contact sport. So whether it's braking for the rail or just the confines of being pushed down toward the rail into the banking, a lot of things can happen through the 400 meters in 65 seconds. Our leader, Catherine Miller from Colorado Christian.
And I like where Zoe Marcus of Amherst is positioned, just slightly on that outside shoulder, not exactly forcing herself to run any more distance that she needs to. She's maintaining control of her position. She can see the leader, and she can make a move whenever she wants at this point, but now the field's starting to come back to her.
About 250 meters remaining in this 3rd heat of the women's 800 at this year's Sharon Colyear-Danville season opener, live on FloTrack. Phil Grove and Carson Gambaro. And the new leader is Zoe Marcus from Amherst.
What a move by Marcus. She knew it was going to come down to a sprint when she heard the footsteps of the rest of the field, and she has dropped the hammer.
She's got a gap of about 8 meters on Catherine Miller from Colorado Christian. Ellie Quintana from Oregon State trying to mount a charge. Here comes Stella Clemens. She ran earlier in the mile. Can she close? Does she have the speed? How are the legs? She won't get the win, but she's going to close in fine fashion as Zoe Marcus from Amherst with the win, and a valiant effort by Estella Clemens from Lee.
Estella Clemens with a 2:16.44, just again, Phil, about an hour after her mile effort of 4:52.19. What a workout. What a way to open your season. She's going to be in great fitness come championship time.
And this is the fitness season, putting in the work that will pay dividends that maybe come conference championship time. She won't be doubling as closely as she did today, but definitely this work will pay off later.
It's like we talk about in cross country all the time. The championships of October and November are won in July and August. It's all about building that base early and setting yourself up for success. Heat number 4 on the track.
And most of this field is a member of the Maine track team. 5 of the scheduled 8 competitors run for the Black Bears, and it looks like we have all 8 out there on the oval. And the top seed time actually is Amherst Hannah Adhagari as they break at the cones, bringing it down to the line. 31 and change for the opening 200, and that is one of the Black Bears, Addison Nelson from Maine.
if you are one of the black bears, you're going to want to treat this like a glorified practice time trial. Just knowing you're out there having fun with your teammates, trying to see who's the fastest. That's what you got to do in a situation like this.
Our final heat of the women's 800 meters. All right, still in the lead, that is Addison Nelson from Maine with a group of 4. So Nelson in the lead as they're coming up on the bell lap in the 4th and final heat.
It's gone now.
Of the women's 800 meters. Bell lap at 1:41.
And what an impressive run by Imani Thompson. She was also in the mile earlier, and she looks like she's got her eyes on the prize.
Well, there is the leader is Mia Brady from Rosemary Hall, but with Imani Thompson from Norfolk State in second, going into the turn for the final time. Now it's a 3-runner race.
Hannah Adhikari of Amherst, the Owl coming around the outside.
It is Hannah Adhikari from Amherst, had a 2:18 seed time. She's going to hit right about that, and she does. 2:18.09 for our final women's 800 meter run.
Very impressive run there. She had 2 girls to pass, 2 women to pass in that final lap. Was not phased. Stayed poised, stayed patient. That closing move was decisive.
And we will send it to break and be right back with the men's 800 meters live from Boston University.
So I guess now my rider is going to be like that, like once every time I go to visit, like that's what it's going to come down to.
Okay, gentlemen, in the lane to the right line with the balloon foot.
Half mile, my favorite event. It's time for the men to run 4 laps at Boston University. There is the field in heat number 1. And for the men, Luke Seymour from Penn State. We saw him earlier in the mile. He's scheduled to be the rabbit this time around to take the field through 52 seconds. And he's got one of his teammates in this one, Olivier Desmois from Penn State, 146 half miler. We see Seymour right in the middle of the track. He's got his Nittany Lion teammate right behind him. 25 seconds and change opening 200 there on the gas, Carson.
This has got to feel a little painful for Seymour, but knowing that he ran well in that mile earlier, he's just got to be treating this like a nice final sprint to end his day and set his teammate up for success.
So Desmoulins in the number 2 spot. And in third, that is Jonah Hoey, the third brother of the Hoey running family in Eastern PA on the track today, all running in Adidas kits. And our pace setter has stepped off. It's just over 1:06 on the clock. Olivia Desmoulins, a 1:46.9 half miler. It's a trio out front. Desmoulins, Hoey, and then Braxton Brewer from Minnesota Distance Elite. Bell lap, here they go.
Let's see if Jonah Hoey's got the Hoey kicking, and we saw his brother Josh go 3:52 earlier in the mile, and boom, there's that move on the backstretch.
Initiated the pass on the turn. He takes it down into the flat. Going into the turn, he's got the lead, and he's starting to inch away from the young man from Penn State.
Desmoulins ain't done, though.
That little push off the turn. Here he comes to the line, and it looks like that's a photo finish.
I think Hoey held on, and he
It
did.
is 1:48.25. And Damelay was 1300s back at 148.38 as Brewer goes sub 150 as well at 149.17.
And that is nearly a full second lifetime best for the youngest of the three Hoey brothers, Jonah Hoey, previously at 149.23. High school graduate class of 2020, so still in the younger phases of his career. It seems like the Hoey brothers are just getting better and better each year.
Well, they're obviously extremely fit for the first weekend of December. Again, Jonah Hoey wins the men's hot heat of the 800 after his brother won the men's mile.
And we'll get to see both of his brothers pace the 3K later.
So a lot of busy work as we go into heat number 2 of 3 of the men's 800. Field of scheduled to have 7, just 5 on the oval. And they are all finishers, hopefully, on the track. And on the inside from WPI, that's Thomas Scarry and Brinston White. And leading the group through about 27 seconds, opening 200 is Brinston White, 153 half-miler for WPI.
A group of 4 has quickly emerged, which he currently leads. We'll see if he can keep this going. In second place, that's Ben Davis of Amherst. Really sticking close to him on his hip as they come to 455 seconds.
That lead group of 4 still, so it is White, then Ben Davis from Amherst.
And Caleb Colson of Maine has worked his way into the number 3 spot, and now
starting to move onto the shoulder and past Ben Davis into the number 2 spot.
I was going to ask, would he tuck in there? He said, I am sticking on the outside. I'm getting myself in contention for the lead heading into the Bell Lap, but he's still stuck on the exterior.
He's running the extra meters. He finally gets down to the rail, but here comes Ben Davis from Amherst.
What a powerful
with his coach
move.
Cheering him on the inside of turn 1. Ben Davis from Amherst down the back straight, working hard with a 10-meter lead and growing.
What a powerful response by Ben Davis. He was the one who put the early pressure on the former leader.
And he's going to win this one by about a dozen meters and going to run 152.92. Ben Davis. Looks like he's got a smile on his face.
And he looked like he had plenty of juice coming home there. 151.66 seat time, so not necessarily a personal best type of day, but again, great tactics, great patience, and great kick.
We see coach and athlete there sharing some time. It's like the coach said, yes, look, that's what you did. You made the move at the right time, and he held it all the way to the line. Ben Davis from Amherst, our final 800 section, stepping up to the line. There is the field.
Coach T is Terry Tyrone Scott. If you ever see his Instagram comments, that's Coach T. He owns Slay the Dragons Track Club and is out here running on this Boston University track unattached.
And we are underway. We do definitely have an age grouper on the inside, Dan Cleary from the Heartbreakers. He's been to a couple rodeos in his life, I am certain. As our leader from MIT, Amon Norodame. 26 seconds, opening 200. He is definitely pushing the pace.
And keep in mind, some of the guys in this heat do not know the thrill of a sub-2 800, so if they're going to want to achieve that here, they're going to have to get back at our leader, Noral Dame.
And it looks like Coach T, unfortunately, was a scratch today. Not on
bummer.
the oval, but Noral Dame from MIT, a 157 800 guy. He hits 400 in under 54 seconds. He is all in.
That is the second fastest quarter mile split that we've seen thus far in our 800 series.
Matt Furlings from Maine is a distant second at this point. about 25 meters behind. You see the fatigue starting to set in from Notre Dame. The strides are shortening up a little bit, but the field is not catching him.
You saw him looking up there almost as if to find a scoreboard to see how big his lead is. He's not looking back, though. He's charging right into the belly of the beast. That is the final lap of this 800.
Here comes Matt Furlings from Maine, a 156 800 runner, and his teammate Reed Wheatley in the number 3 spot. There's the leader looking for some saving grace as he is tying up a lot going into the final 100 meters. Here comes Furlings. Matt Furlings from Maine makes the pass in the final 70 meters. Looking strong to the line, running a more conservative pace, and he wins it in 158 point. Matt Furlings from Maine, 158.52, his official time.
Well, I'm on Notre Dame. You got to give him credit for going after it, but running back-to-back 53s, that is something that only world-class athletes can achieve. I'm sure that he'll be back for some more.
And we are right on schedule. We will move right into the women's 600 run. All right, women's 600 on the track. Looking ahead to our schedule, women's 600 meters, men's 600, the 200s, the 300s, and we'll get back into some individual, more distancy races, 1,000 meters, the 4x4, and then the women's and then men's 3,000 and 5,000s. Once we get into the later in the afternoon and around the dinner hour to take us to a close of shop about 9 o'clock tonight.
And this is an interesting race that we have here, Phil, because if we look at the ladies on the exterior-most lanes, Kyla Palmer of BC and Leonie Griffin of Boston University, they were both very high placing in the New York State Finals in 600, back in high school, of course.
And again, 600, an indoor event predominantly. They do have a special one every once in a while outdoors, but are you the 400 runner moving up or the 800 runner moving down? We get a meeting of those two worlds.
And Kyla Palmer is the 400 runner moving up. She's got a 55.46 lifetime outdoor best. Leonie Griffin is the 800 runner dropping down from a 2:08. She won the public school indoor title last year, and Kyla Palmer placed third the year before. Both of them, again, Phil, meeting right in the middle of with 133 lifetime bests.
So wearing the home colors, Leonie Griffin from Boston University closing the gap as the field now is a tightly bunched 5. But Annika Paluska from Williams, the new leader, and came by with a vengeance.
And she was my wild card in this race, Phil. 134.54 for a lifetime best. She took second in the large schools indoor state championship in Connecticut. And look at this move she's made.
59.39 for Paluska from Williams. She has left this field behind as Griffin, the closest challenger right now from BU, about 8 meters back. Going in the final turn, it is Paluska from Williams, the Division III school. Griffin now from BU has life. She's going to make the pass in the final 40 meters. It is Leonie Griffin is going to win this one. Brings a big cheer from the crowd.
Leonie Griffin wins her college debut, tying her lifetime best in 133.06. What a season opener. This is her first year in a long time not running cross country, so really impressive early season fitness for Lee.
And a big smile on her face for the young lady from the Terriers of Boston University, 133.06.
That's what we call a welcome home.
A second and final heat of the women's 600. As we get one last look at our winner. Again, a time-based final, so these 5 ladies taking a shot at that 133.06.
They're going to need 31-second laps if they want to get that on average.
And we are underway. The first group went out in 59 seconds through the 400 mark and hung on, so definitely not a negative split race, Carson.
It's hard to negative split a 600, especially when many athletes, again, like your 800 specialists, treat it like a sprint. It's called a run in many occasions, but really it can qualify for a dash as well.
Just over 30 seconds for our leader. That is Uma Sanker from BU, with Layla Bada from Amherst in the number 2 position. A little bit of a gap there between first and second.
Perhaps inspired by her teammate Griffin's win in the previous heat, running a little bit different race than Liani executed, but Sanker in the number 1 spot.
And here comes Leticia Do Nascimento from Southern Connecticut. And at the line, will she take the lead? It looks like she did at 1:03. Do Nascimento from Southern Connecticut now with a big lead as Sanker starts to fade.
And now with her teammate Julia Mansfield moving into second, it's a Southern Connecticut 1-2.
Can they close in 31 seconds? That would bring them close to that 1:33. I don't think so. The clock tells me it's going to be 1:30 very soon. 1:30 on the clock with 40 meters to go for Leticia Do Nascimento. And with the win in 1:37 high.
The Owls coming to conquer here. Julia Mansfield holds on for second. 137.83. And look at that. Mansfield below 140 as well.
And we'll be right back with the men's 600 live from Boston University.
This is your final call for declarations in the 300. All athletes in the 300 should be declared at this time. Final call, 300. First call, 1K.
Another pair of races over 600 meters this time for the men. The field underway. Field of 5. Mulconry from Southern Connecticut State, Bucher unattached, McKinnon from UNB Reds, McQuaid from Boston College, and Cowan from Boston University.
And this is another race with a good mixture of 400 and 800 guys. You look at Max McQuaid, the junior from Boston College. He's a 47.67 400 runner. But then you've got the freshman from BU, Thomas Cowan, who won the New Zealand Under-20 800-meter championship with a 149.12 800-meter personal best.
24 seconds and change for McQuaid. A 120.5 800 man. And he's got just a couple stride advantage over Mulconry from Southern Connecticut State. And this is most likely the opening activity in the 24-25 school year, track and field wise, for these athletes. Probably didn't run cross. It is McQuaid and Mulconry. It's a 3-man race up front as BU's Thomas Cowan in third.
He's got that 800 strength, and he's going to need it in this final 100. Mulconry in between.
And here comes Cowan. He's going to have the stride advantage going into the turn. He knows how to run this track. He trains on it every day. But it is going. Here he comes. Cowan does it. And it looks like Cowan got it. He does 1:18.64. He knows this track. He knows the boost and kick that he gets coming off that last turn, the banking. And he played it on the outside lane.
The 600 meters, a rather infrequent event in the college scene. And before today, Jack Mulconry, the man who finished third from Southern Con, had a personal best of 1:21.18. That was the fastest official 600 personal best in the field. We've got 3 guys now in the sub 120 club. Great race.
All right, heat number 2, second and final one, just 4 runners. There's the field. And you show your versatility and the opportunity. You know, you can see some 4x8s indoors, maybe at a conference championship meet, depending upon the conference and the level of competition. D2, D3, probably more likely see that. But definitely because the DMR, everybody loves the DMR indoors.
Everybody loves the DMR, no question about that. And your 600 guys, you can put them on almost any leg. Even the 1200 if you're feeling audacious. Maybe not the 1600, but again, it's just a nice bridge distance to test your athlete's fitness with.
No holding back. Becky Adkins from Southern Connecticut State. He was on the outside in lane 6.
He was right around 25 flat through 200 meters. Makai Adkins now starting to be reeled in. Daniel DeMonte from BU.
And coming up on the bell lap, it is a two-man race in this four-man field. And the home standing, DeMonte takes the lead with a big push in final 200 meters. Atkins, can he gather himself for a final run?
DeMonte's got a smooth, powerful stride. He made a nice, gentle move up into the front, and he is growing his gap with every single foot strike.
So Daniel DeMonte, his seat time was 1:23.50. He's got a chance to better that by a little bit. Here he comes, digging hard to the line, and he'll be under that time as he runs in the 1:22s. Daniel DeMonte with the win.
He came into the home straightaway awful wide-eyed. He saw that clock and knew what was at stake, and he got what was his, a new lifetime best, 1:22.88.
And we'll step away for just a moment, coming back with some dash races. The women's 200 next, live on FloTrack. Sports are bigger on the big screen. Head to your preferred device app store to download the all-new Flow Sports TV apps for Roku, Apple TV, Fire TV, Android TV, and Chromecast. Set your favorites, search our library of live and on-demand content, and so much more. Download today. All right, next setup on the track is the 200-meter dash. This will be in lanes all the way. The first time we'll see that on the oval, and we'll see the Ray sisters back once again.
And we will also see our 400 winner, Taylor Ryu of Air Force, running on the inside in lane number 3. And Wendira Moss from Northern Colorado, she made an appearance in the quarter mile as well. But the Ray sisters, again in 5 and 6, Lisa Ray, back in New Balance Nationals Outdoor as a sophomore, ran a 22.7 to win in Philly. Also won the 100, but such impressive 200-meter chops.
They call this a launch pad, but it doesn't always equate to super fast 200 times. The facility record, 23:11 back in 2013 by Tricia Hawthorne. But the Ray sisters have both run in that neighborhood, but again, on the larger turns of the outdoor schedule.
Look out for Wendira Moss.
There is Lisa Ray in lane 5. She's going to go wire to wire with the win. Lisa Ray, 24.55, a good start to the indoor season on 200-meter banking.
And again, if you were with us earlier, we mentioned to you how both Lisa and Xenia Ray, who was in that heat finishing 4th, announced their commitment to the University of Georgia yesterday. Xenia is a senior this year, Lisa a junior, so they won't exactly be attending for the same time, but they'll be going to the same place. Lisa said she made her commitment early so that she could really prioritize getting her times down and making the most of her senior year, which will be next year. So far, junior year, off to a good start.
Heat number 2 of 3 in the women's 200 meters. There is our field as we await the arrival of our next guest. Definitely looking forward to sharing some time with this coach, and we'll leave it at that till he arrives. We'll keep you in suspense, but definitely worth the wait. Hang around as we head toward the 1 o'clock hour. in Boston, Massachusetts. This year's live coverage of the Sharon Colyear-Danville season opener.
And one thing, if you're a college freshman, that ought to be so relieving is getting the opportunity to practice your start, because oftentimes in high school, when you attend a major invitational, they run the heats back-to-back, and sometimes you can't even use starting blocks. And if you can, you certainly don't have the time to practice your start. So each athlete has the leisure, has the privilege of getting to perfect their get-off on the launch pad.
When, as we get into the two-day meets with men one day, women the next, we will get in those heats where we do not have starting blocks. So
the Sharon
you want to be in those hot heats.
The exception to the rule.
And we are underway. And on the outside, Marina Miller from MIT. She's in 6th, but Morgan Parfait from Takeoff in the preferred lane for speed, lane number 5. And Morgan in the lead, taking it to the line. Can she hold on? Shanone Moname from BU, the closest, but it is Parfait with the win.
That's why lane 5 is the golden lane. It seems like the inside lanes are always in contention, but once you get off that turn, there's just that little bit of extra decline, and that proves to be enough to kick and push to the line. Morgan Parfait just executed that brilliantly, representing Takeoff Track Club out of Atlanta, Georgia.
Our final heat of the women's 200-meter dash coming up next. 3 runners from Williams, you mentioned before, just used this as a team workout, team trial, and we have Elena Stonebreaker from the Coast Guard Academy in the middle in lane 5. She's in that preferred lane.
She's like the Continental Army in this case. 1 on 3. Can she get it done? 25.89, the top seed. Elena Stonebreaker from Coast Guard with the 3 Williams ladies on inside and out as they get underway. The final section of the women's 200.
It is lanes all the way. The women's 200, 1 lap around this lightning fast oval. And 3 runners wearing the colors of Williams, but it is Elena Stonebreaker from the Coast Guard Academy. Her best 25.89. Can she make that equate to a first place finish in this heat? And it looks like she does, and she runs faster than that, 25.74 officially for Elena Stonebreaker is our next guest coming to join us.
Elena Stonebreaker. Again, that looked like a carbon copy the last 2 heats. We saw her under a little bit of pressure, but responded, stayed relaxed down that home stretch. That's what you got to do with a 200. Maintain your form. Don't let it fall apart, or you'll fall apart.
And we'll be back with Mo in a moment with our next guest, Alex Gibby, the head coach of track and cross country at Harvard. And as I like to say, I always want to have the pros up here to talk about what this sport is all about, not Carson and I. Alex Gibby in the middle, the head coach of Harvard University's distance program, track and cross country. Alex, good afternoon. Thanks for coming up.
Well, thanks, Phil. You promoted me. I'm the associate head, but I do appreciate it. We've got a director of track and field that does the hard job. I get to do the fun stuff.
First day at the office?
Well, speaking of first day at the office, obviously coming off the cross-country season, incredibly successful at the individual level for your top guy, Graham Blanks, defends his national title, the 13th ever to do so, and he also was in the Olympics. Was there any surprise at all that was going to be the result at the end of the NCAA meet?
I wouldn't say a surprise. I think probably 3 or 4 weeks out, he started to return to form from the summer. There's some metrics that we use as we analyze our training that started to move in the direction that we wanted. So I knew the fitness level was there 3 weeks out, probably maybe 4 weeks out. And so that was really encouraging. But on the flip side, the NCAA is as competitive as it's ever been. Like, Hampton Samuel, who is the runner-up to him, was runner-up with one shoe on. Like, the kid should have been an Olympian for Eritrea. Obviously, Parker Wolf had a terrific spring last year and is a terrific talent. So, I thought it was certainly possible, and I thought it was, we did what we needed to do to put ourselves in that position. But I think where we are with the NCAAs, there's always a little bit of a coin flip.
And so many things can happen just in that final 1,000 meters of a 10K race. It's amazing. A 6.2 mile race comes down to the 0.6 of a mile.
Yeah. Well, with us, we wanted to make sure that, the key point with him was to stay hidden for about 8,000 meters the first 5 miles. And then when he chose to move, and we use the term choose violence, like make an aggressive decision that puts people in a position to make decisions they may not want to make. And so for us, that was, he executed. It was pretty funny. I was talking to Darren Gosen, the New Mexico coach, yesterday, and that was Haptom's plan. But Haptom had one shoe on and got caught on a muddy slope, and Graham got away cleanly.
Nice little token of revenge there for Javin Bostic of Air Force in the 200, avenging his second place finish to Jerome Campbell from the 60.
Yeah, 21:08, a really good run, wire to wire. Again, he had the preferred lane 5. Obviously, you've been at Harvard now, I think, 8 years, correct?
That's correct.
Tell me about the changes that you've seen from a young Graham Blanks coming out of Georgia as the talent that he was to where he is right now as an Olympian and 2-time NCAA cross champ.
Well, I think the physical improvements are pretty easy to see. We've slowly moved volume up every 6 months for the 4 years he's been on campus, including this gap year, that's 5 years. So obviously physically he's a lot different in a lot of ways. But, he's refined his game tactically in racing. When he got to Harvard, he wasn't a very good closer. He was a really good, what we call straight line runner. He could jump into time trial and hang on with the best of them, but there wasn't much to offer late. I think his freshman year at the NCAA first round, he went to the lead, and then with 400, 600 meters out, and ended up finishing 9th in that heat. And so, he's come a long way tactically, and that's all on him. Like, he sits there, he evaluates, he comes to me with the ideas. I get to shape those ideas, but a lot of his improvement is self-owned and driven by him. And when he finally leaves Harvard, with the Harvard uniform, we're going to miss him.
So getting ready for heat number 2 of 4 of the men's 200. It's Clement Whitmore from MIT, Naff from the Coast Guard Academy, and Ponesi from Vermont. And we'll be back with Alex Gibby to talk more about Harvard track and field and cross country and Graham Blanks as Naff from the Coast Guard Academy in that preferred lane 5, 22 1/4, his PR coming in. He's got about a 5-meter lead coming off the turn. He is not going to be challenged in this one, and he gets a win. He goes 22:04 unofficially. A very nice opening weekend effort. Official 22:06 for Ian Naff. Coach, you've worked at a number of schools, a number of different conferences, a number of different type programs. William & Mary for a while, University of Michigan, and now at Harvard. How does being at Harvard, maybe the atmosphere, being in the Ivy League, make it a little different working with your student athletes?
Well, yeah, it is absolutely different. Well, one, we're in the Northeast. We're not in the Southeast, which is a little bit more temperate this time of year. 2, from an academic standpoint, everyone knows Harvard across the world, so being able to take that into the recruiting process, into people's living rooms, is obviously a real asset and something I really enjoy. You never have to defend a Harvard education. In fact, you have to explain that most of the young men and women we get are actually kind of normal, well, as normal as you can be at Harvard. But it's been a different place. We've been able to attract some special athletes. There are some changes. Like, we're an 8-semester institution, so there's no redshirting. No one leaves Harvard, so we cannot bring in transfers. So, full disclosure, I've never opened the portal. I don't even know what it looks like. I have a login, and it just doesn't apply to me. So we can't make quick fixes with 5th or 6th year seniors. So we really have to be intentional in some of our training decisions, because we really only get 4 years with them. We can't redshirt like I did at William & Mary and Michigan to get that developmental year and then start to perform.
Again, another heat number 3 of the men's 200. Look at the MIT runners, Louis and Martinez Riviera on 5 and 6. They were 22-second quarter mileage, but here comes the other D3 runner in the field, Yanni Kokoris from Williams in the purple and yellow. And he's going to get the win. Kokoris is going to go 22 mid, 22:58. You mentioned about the feedback that Graham has brought to the table more, maybe as a more mature runner. Do you see that more in the student athletes whether they have their high school coach, maybe their club coach, and also what's available online when they see a lot of different material and digest a lot of things? Plus, the athletes that you have there are bringing pretty high college boards to the table at Harvard.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where, there's a lot of information out there, and in some capacity, in cases, I should say, there's a lot of voices. Some of them really healthy, and some of them a little bit distracting because we've got our system of our way of doing things, and if we're bringing in other pieces, particularly within a 4-year window, and we're having a little bit of cognitive dissonance, if you will. You're kind of dropping the ceiling on what you're capable of doing. The nice part for us is, over the course of the time I've been at Harvard, we've had some terrific men and women come in, like Graham, like Maya Ramsden, Karen Tuntovit, Hugo Milner, Anna Ewell, Abby Goldstein. All these people that have been really bought into what we do, and so it's a really good example for the young men, young women in our program to, hey, maybe I should listen.
Final heat of the men's 200-meter dash. One open lane is Garcia, Wang, Twohill, and Potter. Potter runs for Vermont. He's got now actually the best lane out in lane 6. See him tuning up down the back straightaway, going into the turn, hitting that high banking on the launch pad, the world's fastest indoor track, but in the middle of the track in lane 3, that is Jack Wang from MIT is going to be the winner. He's going to go under 23 seconds. A couple words more, if you can, on Sophia Goryaron, who we just saw in the 800. I saw and have talked to Sophia quite a bit. She has been a high-level runner for quite a while in the 800 meters. Where do you work with her to take her to that next level, to get her into the mix in an incredibly deep women's 800 field in the U.S.?
Yeah, Sophia's a little bit different in the sense that, with most of our young men or young women, they come out of high school with good performances. Sophia's obviously come out of high school with terrific performances. And so, as a coach, the pressure was certainly on the first day she walks in the door because, there is a lot of attention on her, and you don't get a lot of time to figure things out. You've kind of got to dial it in. And so in that capacity, I've certainly relied on her father a lot, who coaches her in high school, who has a terrific club program down in Rhode Island, and he's been at this a while. So, he cuts off a lot of the dialogue, if you will, the learning process, and it can speed me along there. But, you talk about a young lady that, if Graham had a long year, her year might have been longer. Graham was a little banged up indoors, but Sophie had a great indoor season. Outdoor finalist, Olympic trials semifinalist. Then she went all the way to Peru at the U20s and the bronze medalist at the end of August, and then had to turn around and do what I asked her to do, and it's not her first love, is, compete in cross country. I did tell her that if she ever runs 1:59 low, though, she can walk away from cross country. But we got to be a real half miler before that happens.
A few words again about Graham. You talked about staying sort of maybe hidden for the early part of a cross country 10K race. What about the 5,000 tonight, and what are the goals and hopes and expectations?
Well, I mean, the goal is always to race well, right? But if, the thing that's on our forefront, and the NCAA record's kind of a cool thing to think about, but the world indoor standard, or the world standard for Tokyo, is 13:01 flat. That's legit. That's real. And it's something that's he's certainly capable of doing. The Rabbits are going to have to cooperate. They're going to have to get him out there, get him in. The field's really good. He may have to go to the front earlier than he typically wants if he wants to get the standard, and that puts you in a position where you're a little bit vulnerable, taking that risk, a mile from the line, if you will. But this tracks back to me, but if he does get the standard, it makes my life a lot easier from a planning standpoint. So we don't make this about me, but that's the goal tonight. Try to get the world standard, and the very likelihood is that he could PR and still not get it. I mean, that's where we are. It's a hell of a time.
And that's what the coaches and athletes will hope to do this first weekend, is check the boxes on the indoor season, get that standard, get those conference qualifying marks.
Yeah, 100%. And it just makes your life a little easier using the cross-country fitness. You take a little bit of downtime, and then you reevaluate what you want indoor to look like, what you want outdoor to look like. You know, the goal with him is to have a long summer again. Obviously, the U.S. Championships is end of July, early August, in of itself. But Tokyo's in September. That's no guarantee, but that's on the planning docket.
All right, Alex Gibby, the associate head coach at Harvard University, distance and track, joining us today, talking about Graham Blanks, the two-time defending NCAA cross-country champion, the goals, and also working with Sophia Goryaron, an incredible high school talent, now in her second year of 4 at Harvard University. Coach, thanks for joining us. Best of luck for the year.
Phil, thanks for having me. So good seeing you again. Thank you. It's tough talk.
Do me a favor, will you go on the other side of the box? On that side. There you go. Thank you. Okay, stand up and let me ready.
Back at Boston University, again, our thanks for a nice long stay with Alex Gibby, the associate head coach of Harvard University, and the man right now putting together the training plan for Graham Blanks and Sophia Goryaron and many others wearing the crimson. And the women's 300 meters in lanes. They're attacking this one.
That's
1.5 laps.
Jada Baylark in lane number 5, the 27-year-old Arkansas alum who was a semifinalist in both the 100 and 200 at Olympic trials. She's got incredible raw speed, running her first official 300. I'm excited to see what kind of time she can come home with if she can hang on for the win. Look out on the inside.
And it looks like she will have enough to get to the line, but barely. We talked about the 400 and 800 and the 600 falling in between. The 300 is even more of an animal where it's very unique. That 200, 400 runner, you got to have the speed to compete at this distance.
And definitely the speed endurance as well, because interestingly, if we've looked at history, the 400 runners ultimately have that. Of course, Shawnee Miller-Weibo with the world record on the women's side. Letsile Tebogo, who set it in the men's side. Of course, we think of him more as the 200-meter Olympic champion, but he's got a rare blend of speed and speed endurance when we consider the 300-meter dash. So, again, a very interesting distance that allows you to combine both of those elements of sprinting.
And also the fact that it is lanes all the way at this distance, the longest race where we will see that today at the Track and Tennis Center at Boston University. Heat number 2 of 6. So quite a lot of 300s coming your way.
And the winning time was in the upper 38s there from Baylark in the opening section, and a lot of the girls, in fact all of them in heat number 2, are right around that 39 flat. See if they can get it.
That was our field. It is Bernard, Barnhart, Keola, and Exichukwu. And Exichukwu, on the outside in 6, as Keola tried to hold the speed. She's in lane 5.
Hannah Keola from Southern Connecticut State putting the pressure on this backstretch in between the two Boston Terriers, Kendall Barnhart and Ijeoma Ezichukwu.
So Keola went very wide. Thankfully, she was behind Exichukwu and didn't come into contact with the BU runner, but it is Hannah Keola from Southern Connecticut with the win. She looks at the clock, 38:17. Wow, what a run.
The new fastest time in the 300-meter series goes to Hannah Keola of Southern State. What an impressive run that was. Again, Ezechukwu took it out really hard on the outside, tethered her to a fast time, and she did the rest once she made the pass. Kaiola previously at 40.11 for a lifetime best over 300. That's nearly 2 seconds, Phil.
A massive PR, and especially it is December 7th. Don't forget that. As a couple of her teammates, look at, she is beyond happy.
Do a little victory dance. You've earned it, Hannah. What a run. She was seated at 39 flat, so it's not as though this wasn't foreseen, but still exceeding expectations.
Very happy owl as we get set for heat number 3. 2 of her teammates, Avery Winters in 1 and Keisha Francois in 3. And then 2 athletes from BC. There you see them in lane 4, Elia Conti and Anna Sonsini from Boston College.
So will it be the birds of prey, or will it be, well, which bird of prey will it be? I nearly mixed up the Eagles with the Terriers there, but we're going to have an air battle here in heat number 3 of the 300. If we look at the seedings here, Keisha Francois of Southern Con, she's at 39.50. Aaliyah Canty on your screen right now is at 39.75, along with her teammate who will be setting out on the outside, Anna Sonsini from Boston College. 39.75 their seeds. Lanes for 1.5 laps of the oval at the Track and Tennis Center.
The facility record 37.44 set in 2022 by Neolani Phillips from BU.
What a run by Sonsini. Anna Sonsini from BC.
She is on the outside in lane 6 and is quickly broke the stagger wide open, and not by chewing up those on the outside, just running away from the rest of the field. Going into the turn at the far end of the Track and Tennis Center for the final time, but here comes Francois from Southern Connecticut State and her teammate Winters in lane 3. Could it be a Southern Connecticut 1-2? It looks like it's going to be. It's Francois. 39.74 unofficially for Keisha Francois.
And again, we saw just how hard Sonsini took it out on the outside. Very similarly executed race to the one that we saw from Hannah Kaiola in the previous section. She wasn't impatient. She was patient, waited, knew that she would have the gas, timed it brilliantly.
Next up, heat number 4 of 6 is we're on the downward side of the number of heats for the women's 300.
Southern Con State with the golden lane once again, courtesy of Ella McLean with the top seed in this heat at 40.42. But look out for Jillian Fennerty of Providence. She'll be on the outside at 40.44. It'll be a tight battle as well with Ava Carter of Boston College, 40.50. She is bottom left of your picture. So top 3 seeds within a tenth of each other, being called to their start blocks right now.
And once again, some good things coming out of lane number 5, and we'll see if it pays dividends for Ella McLean from Southern Connecticut State. And this meet rolling right along. Meet management keeping us right on schedule. And we'll hit you with some times for events coming up that you'll definitely want to be around for, as McLean and Finnerty on the outside in 5 and 6. Ava Carter from Boston College, you'll see her pop into the picture in lane 4, down the back straight. They'll hit the turn one final time, still remain in lanes. It looks like it's Ava Carter from BC with the advantage going into the turn. Yes, she has the lead. A 40-50 seed time. She's at 37, 38, 39.
Oh, she's got sub 40.
There we go. A sub 40-second effort for Ava Carter, 39.85.
And what an impressive run that was, because if you've watched this meet up until this point, you're probably thinking to yourself, oh, lane 5 is going to come back. Ella McLean, a great rally for 40.46 season opener, but Ava Carter, she kept the pedal to the metal, committed to the move she made on the back stretch. And to the finish line she went before anybody else.
We might have to add the 300 meters into the equation as the most difficult track event. We don't see it very often, but you can see the fatigue from going all out, especially up the banking as you have to here at the Track and Tennis Center.
It can be a blessing and a curse depending on how you respond to that. Of course, there's the downgrade of the bank that can help you coming home in getting to the finish line when you're consumed by all that lactic. But, of course, that lactic is still there regardless, and in that final turn, that's where it matters.
Heat number 5. They have taken their spots on the oval. There is the lineup. It looks like that's Aaron Carty of Vermont, the Catamounts.
Aaron Carty, just a freshman in the mix here.
And it does appear like we will have one open lane, so we'll be in 2, 4, 5, and 6. And it's a clean start, and it looks like a good one for Rabanaya Wright from BC in 5. Also, Dardiel Exantis from Southern Connecticut in 6. But it is Wright from Boston College.
41.50.
Cruising down the back straight, 41.50. Her seed time coming in. She's got an 8-meter lead and is growing.
Wow, Renaya Wright is scorching this. She's going to want to get after sub 41, if anything.
And a dominant performance by Wright from Boston College.
Oh, so close to sub 41, but still personal best.
41.11 for that young lady.
Won it by nearly 2 seconds, over 1.6 seconds there. So she pushed it all out on her own. She's the penultimate heat winner. Just one heat of women's 300s left before the men are up. After the 6th and final section of women, we'll have 7 heats of men. So if you're enjoying the 300s, don't go anywhere. We got plenty more left. So far, Hannah Cayola of Southern Connecticut State out of the second heat. 38.17 for the top time thus far.
You don't see that very often, but someone out of a slower heat right now is lining up to be victorious. In the 300 meters, there's a lineup. And there's Daisy Avail from Williams in lane 2. And everybody's where they need to be. Vail, Bezosa, Zenner, Bazant, and Falali. Sophia runs for Vermont out in lane 6 up against the rail.
Very even start on the stagger. Now Ivana Zenner of BC starting to move up on Ella Bazant of Coast Guard.
But you're right, Carson, pretty even, but it is Zenner from BC. A 42.75, but almost anybody's game going into the turn. Definitely 3 of these athletes still in the mix. Sophia Falali from Vermont.
And her teammate Eva Shoza on the inside too.
And it's going to be wire to wire in lane 6. Sophia Falali. Falali 42.21 unofficially. 42.24 on the clock officially for the winner from Vermont. As we'll step aside and come back with the full event schedule as it stands right now in a massive list. Live coverage on FloTrack coming up from BU. taking a big look at a big indoor track schedule, live events on FloTrack. You see the VA Showcase, a big gathering of high school stars down at Virginia Beach, a fantastic venue. It's going to be home to the D1, D2, and D3 NCAA National Championships. A fantastic venue. As we get set up, the next event would be our BU Battle in Beantown as the first heat of the men's 300 meters. Again, lanes all the way.
And really putting the pressure on the inside. That's Corey Couture, the unattached athlete in lane 4.
They are all the way across the track, 4 abreast. Aaron Thompson in 3 from Western Mustangs. Couture in 4. Arnold Logbo and Sam Sandler. In lane 4 it is Corey Couture. He flashes across the line, gets a nice lean, and he gets a 33.58 out of it. And a win by almost 0.3 of a second.
And a nice personal best for Corey Couture, the Merrimack alum. Came in with the fastest personal best on the day, 33.65. Not the fastest seed, though, so had a little bit of adversity to overcome. And he did it the hard way. Went out hard and maintained his lead. Came home faster than he ever has over 3/4 of a outdoor lap, 1.5 laps here indoors.
And a total of 7 heats of the men's 300 meters. Nigel Green from Southern Connecticut State, 33.16 is the facility record.
Look out in this heat for Rafael Egbuchalim from Northern Colorado. One of the many Grizzlies in attendance today that we've seen. He's the reigning champion in this 300 meters, so he could absolutely spoil a surprise for us. 33.84, his winning time from a year ago, also his personal best.
And also, Stephen Harris from Franklin Pierce, a Division II sprinter of note. Pretty good at the 200, but today he's running the 300 meters. Lanes all the way. And we're underway.
Egbuchalim with a good start, the reigning champion, but on the outside, it's the Terrier.
Oh, and he pulls up and causes problems for Pierce as well. Oh, my goodness. Almost a near catastrophe for 2 athletes, but definitely for the young man from Northern Colorado.
And Pierce has shut it down. It's a 2-man race. Thomas Lampkin and Matthew Baskin. Baskin on the inside from Rise Athletics.
So all the air got taken out of that race. It's Matthew Baskin with the win. But going into the first turn for the first time after 100 meters were in the books, the reigning champion suffered a race injury and then rolled into the inside lane where Stephen Harris was barreling down on him. Harris almost ended up in the padded rail. Thankfully able to contain himself, but he also dropped out of the race. Wow.
Really, really tough break for the both of them. You see Egbuchalim on your screen. He was grasping at that left hamstring area. They've sat him down on the mat. They're going to take a look at him. His teammates coming over to support him. Again, it's early in the season, so if there's a time for something to happen, better it be now than later, but best wishes to Rafael and a speedy recovery.
So heat number 3 of the men's 300 meters. There's a lineup. Duckman, Osagi, Crawford, and Freeman. As looking ahead to the rest of the schedule today, the 1,000 meters, and then the 4x4s, 3K and 5Ks will help us call it a night, just about 9 o'clock. So as we get rolling in heat number 3, and we'll see who's able to take advantage of that. So out in, looks like lane 6, that is Nolan Freeman from Southern Connecticut State. He has left Max Crawford from BC, who was in 5 in the dust, but on the inside, in lane 3, that's Joshua Duckman from the Western Mustangs.
It almost looked like he had a smile on his face down the backstretch. He is eager to get after this, and off the turn he comes.
Duckman is going to pick up the win.
Oh, Nice lean there. If he didn't lean, I don't know if he would have held on, but
34-17 for Joshua Duckman. He wins it by 1600ths. Definitely was closer than it looked coming off that last turn. There are the numbers in heat number 3 of 4. He's happy with it.
Of course.
Posing for a photo with his teammate.
They're like twins out there with the hip number 3s and the matching kits. Josh Duckman came in at 34.52, so a really impressive run for him, especially out of the innermost lane in that race. Again, you could sense the excitement on his face. He didn't hesitate, and even though he was nearly caught, he did the right thing, lean at the line. It's the most important part in a tightly contested race down the stretch.
Let's go.
Heat number 4. They're at the far end of this facility. 1.5 laps. Lanes all the way. There is the list of our competitors: Seaton from Vermont, Davis Williams, Carter from Takeoff, and Ward from Southern Connecticut State.
Set.
And a clean start for the field. And a pretty good first 50 meters by Marquise Ward from Southern Connecticut State on the outside in 6. Kind of breaking up the stagger just a little bit. The advantage that he has coming up on the 200-meter mark. 100 to go. Ward's got the finish line in sight, but it is Williams's Jackson Davis.
Wow.
Powers to
Powerful.
victory. The D3 competitor is going to be victorious. 34.35.
And you and I nearly jinxed each other there when we said power coming off that straightaway, because that's exactly what our winner Jackson Davis just showcased there with that move in the final 100 meters. He had his eyes on Ward the entire way, despite having a lane in between them. He knew his target, timed it nicely. Great sprint for the win.
Okay, boys, here we go. On your mark.
We've still got 3 heats left. They're being called to their blocks. This is section number 5 of the men's 300-meter dash at the Sharon Collier Invitational, Boston University on FloTrack. We've got all the New England states represented in this, with a couple of hometown Bostonians. Spicer and Kravitz on the inside and out.
And a big battle taking shape on the inside. That is Matthew Spicer's. He pulled up alongside Ty Phelan from Southern Connecticut State, but they are giving chase to Colin Kravitz in lane 6.
This might not be the battle in Beantown just yet, but it sure might as well be a preview. Colin Kravitz and Matthew Spicer, Boston College and Boston University.
Spicer's got the shorter trip around the turn, but it is Colin Kravitz from BC.
Ooh.
And he's happy, and I think you're
He broke
right.
34.
The gentleman who was closest behind him gave him some extra motivation and celebration. 33.95.
Spicer understood the magnitude of that time that Kravitz just ran for the win. That sub 34 is a barrier that a lot of sprinters that run the 300 strive for. We've seen quite a few of them here today. There's his teammates all hyping him up, coaches. But that reaction when he crossed the line, that's just pure sprinter right there. Colin Kravitz.
I'm sorry, getting ready for heat number 6, just a note that Stephen Harris, who there he is, who was involved in that incident of the injury to the young man from northern Colorado, is being allowed to give it a try. Hopefully the full 300. He's in lane 2, added to this heat number 6.
Not exactly the lane that he would love, but an opportunity to run nonetheless.
Harris from Franklin Pierce, Banks from UNB Red, Sewell from Takeoff, Grace and Deli on the outside in 5 and 6. So that is Benoit Deli from Takeoff out in 6.
Harris working really hard on the inside. He's obviously a little bit winded from his earlier effort, but he's given a good effort on the outside, though.
Again, he has the shortest trip around this bank turn. He's making up the space. Here he comes, Stephen Harris. He's got 200 speed from Franklin Pierce, but he had about 100 meters on his legs, so that's going to take a little bit out of him. So 35-25 for Delhi. Harris second at 35-37.
Just to give a shout out to Harris, the 200 speedster. He was the bronze medalist over 200 meters in Division II. So good little workout for him today. Benoit Delhi, though, from Takeoff in Atlanta. Seen a good amount of representation from that track club today, picking up another win in the 3.
Yeah, I had a chance to interview Stephen last year here at BU after he threw down a great 200-meter performance, which at the time I believe was #1 in the country in D2. So our 7th and final heat. As looking ahead, the 1,000-meter runs are next on the scheduled to kick off at 1:28 p.m. on the East Coast, so we might have just a little bit of pause from the action. As, again, meet management here at BU is on top of their game as usual. Bradford, Coach T, Cohen, Penna, and Dragsbake. So we get to see Coach T out there in lane 3. Mixing it up with the collegiate athletes. And that is Dylan Bradford from MIT in lane 2's looking pretty good right now. And outside, Jaleel Pina from Southern Connecticut in 5, and Bryce Dracebeck from Franklin Pierce. The run to the line. Here comes Coach T. Closes in. He's going to get, looks like maybe 3rd place.
Wow. And he looked out of the race on the first or second turn there, but he stayed patient. He saw everybody, kept him close, and he did get 3rd. Astutely, Phil.
There are the numbers in our final heat. We'll step aside and come back with another look at that massive indoor and outdoor schedule live on FloTrack.